Good afternoon, everybody. It is April 3rd, 2024. It's like winter outside. This is the Community Preservation Act Committee. It is at 5:02. This meeting will be video recorded and broadcast over local access channel 8 and through the town website at www.eastham-ma.gov. And I'll go to our agenda. And the first item on the agenda is our 5-year plan update, so I will leave it to you.
All
Laura,
right, thank
right?
you. Yes, Laura, yep,
Laura.
you get me tonight from the team. So let's see if I can share my screen. I cannot, so if the powers that be can make that happen, that would be appreciated.
Do we have to do something here, or are they doing something there?
Yep, I got it.
Okay.
Okay. There we go. Okay. So what we have on the agenda tonight for our portion is to just confirm with you that the core values, principles, and target allocations are largely staying the same. Review and revise any funding category goals, and then brainstorm a little bit with you on next steps, and in particular, kind of the application process, because we're going to start putting everything together now into the full draft plan and want to get a jump on updating the application and that process as well. Okay, so here are your core values: fair, transparent, effective, collaborative, responsive, and informed. I just want to confirm that these, are remaining the same. It seemed like they were from the last time you all talked with us, and from the community feedback that everyone thought these were good and staying. Is that thumbs up?
Is there any
For that?
comment from anybody regarding the core values? I think we're all set.
Okay. In terms of guiding principles, those are also expected to stay the same. So you have your lead priorities and supporting priorities. The lead priorities are housing and protect natural resources and active recreation. So that may be changed ever so slightly. And then the supporting priorities are passive recreation and historic preservation, and leveraging other funds in addition to the CPA funds. In core guiding principles 4 through 8 are prioritizing ones that have the kind of compatibility with other plans, ones that collaborate and touch on multiple CPA areas, and ones that, for compatibility, that are compatible with multiple, goals and funding categories. Does all of that sound correct to you? It seemed like from public feedback and from you that pretty much people felt like these guiding principles were more or less staying the same, maybe a little more emphasis on the housing, but.
I think, Laura, there are some changes we talked about the last time that don't seem to appear in what's on the screen.
Can she, I can't hear you, so.
I'm sorry, there are some changes we talked about last time that don't appear on the screen here. I think.
Were they reflected in the memo that we,
Yes, okay, no, I
Sent
think I
you?
do see it now.
okay,
It's in the document that, no, it's in the document that was attached to the minutes, to the agenda. It lists the principles, okay, never mind, I understand now.
I have some comments and thoughts on this. Number one, under the leveraging, it's number 3, yeah. I would like to change the verbiage at the end there where it says bargain sales and the like. I don't care for that language. So I would like to change that to say, I'll just read, the CPC encourages leveraging CPA funds with other public and private funding, as well as donations, and then I'm going to put in financial opportunities instead of bargain sales and the like. I don't care for that verbiage.
I would agree with that.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
I have another comment under 5 and 6. And to me, those two are very similar in nature, and I think they should be combined in some way, because to me, collaborative and compatibility are similar in nature. I think they're trying to say the same thing. So I'd like that language to be
Right.
somehow incorporated into one guiding principle rather than two.
I had a similar comment as I read item 6.
Yeah,
I wasn't sure what it really said. I don't think it's, I mean, they have to be compatible with the
Yeah.
CPA goals or we can't do them,
right,
right?
yeah. So I think
I
that,
would just strike 6.
yeah, so if we make 5, the CPC encourages projects that include eligible activities in multiple CPA areas, such as, and I would change that, affordable to community housing, not affordable. We call it community housing. And
Yes, that's the better term anyway for CPA.
And active/passive recreation.
Okay?
Then at the top, where you have the 5, the 1 to 6 items, you've got, starts with lead, way at the top where you've got them, just the headings. Keep going, or I don't know how you have it on your screen. There.
Oh, the next one, yes.
Right. Okay. I would like to take planning and community goals and make that more important than the leveraging. So I would like to make,
Flip-flops.
yeah, so I would like to make what's number 4, number 3, and what's number 3, number 4. And as we've just discussed, number 5 and 6 gets removed.
No, combined.
Well, it's combined with number 5. We end up with 5.
Right.
So, yeah, so this was what we originally proposed. Here's another option that we're putting on, because I agree, it's sort of, I felt like this original one was looking a little like things were in a priority order, when really it's just additive. And so we could do something a little more like this with icons. And then if you wanted, we could, flip around planning and community goals to be a little higher and leveraging to be a little lower. And then we'll take off compatibility and we'll just call it collaborative projects.
Right. And what you're proposing right now is to not have the numbers and just the icons? Is that what you're saying?
It's what we wanted to present both options. It's really whatever you prefer.
I
don't,
prefer the icons than the numbers.
Yeah, me too.
but I don't really, I'm not sure the icons, other than for the first one, I'm not sure the icons are.
Representative of,
Doing a whole lot,
I don't
yeah.
think they add anything. I think they confuse things. I think
Yeah.
just the words. I would just do the
Ooh,
words.
sorry. So we can keep the words, but maybe just make them all the same size.
Yes.
We can keep them numbered too, but just keep, and then we can flip the order and match the order. We can flip the order here too, right?
yeah, yeah.
So everything's consistent, and then we'll just have one graphic where it's all the same size and they're numbered 1 through 5, and they're, we could even have a little disclaimer on there of sort of not in any particular priority order, and then not have icons. Okay.
Yeah.
Joanna has her hand raised.
I didn't see her. Joanna, do you have a question? Carolyn saw your hand up. Joanna?
She might be muted.
Are you muted, Joanna?
Hello, Joanna? I don't know.
Okay, I'm,
Oh,
I'm having trouble seeing myself and my own icons there. Yeah, earlier I was gonna, comment that I don't need to make anymore, but I think that the problem with the numbers is it implies, you know, importance, and that's the only thing. So, you know, I realize, you know, you're numbering them because that's the order, but in the diagram, I don't think you should have a number on it, just,
Just
Yeah.
the words straight
Yeah.
up.
Just the
Yeah.
words, yeah. Oh, is that not working?
No, it's fine.
Oh,
I get,
oh.
apparently, I'm incompetent.
Thanks, Joanna. I have another question, and I've been trying to figure myself out this afternoon about this issue, and I'm not sure where it belongs. I have something that I think is important, and I don't see it either under the guiding principles or our goals. And I'm just going to read it, and everybody can tell me they don't like it, they do like it, it could be changed, what have you. I'd like to put in somewhere, community engagement, and whether that's a goal or whether that's a guiding principle, I don't know. But I put in, this is the language I put together. Community engagement. The CPC will actively engage Eastham residents in the project request process via social media / public engagement. I don't think we're doing, I think we can improve the way we present our committee and are trying to get the townsfolk engaged in what we're trying to accomplish. And I don't think many of them understand what we're doing. And I'd like to get more people involved in presenting ideas for the committee itself. And I'm not sure what other people's thoughts are on,
Well, I think it's very hard to get people to volunteer and get engaged, and I think that's a very, very important thing, and how do we do it? I don't know. You mentioned all the good ways, social media, things like that, but it should be something we work on more.
yeah. I think we need to do it, I think we need to, from my perspective, I think we can do a better job.
Well, especially from the number of responses we actually got to the survey.
That's right.
and everything.
Correct.
What happened is, a town with a population of 5,000 year-round and 40,000 in the summer, to have those, to base everything on 251 surveys or so, kind of doesn't really reflect.
That's right.
Not that, you know, if we had 1,000, it wouldn't say the same thing as the
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
251.
yeah.
but-
At least you'd know that there was 1,000 agreeing.
Right.
So my question back to the thing that I've been wrestling with is, do people feel that that should be someplace in here? And if so, would that be under a goal, or would that be under a guiding principle?
I think a goal.
I put it under a goal, but I want people's thoughts.
I
I'm
think,
thinking a goal, too.
I think it's always going to be a goal.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So maybe we create,
I also wonder if it's a core value. So you're trying to assess things through these core values, but you don't elaborate on kind of what the definitions of these things are. You just list the words originally in the plan, and I'm wondering if there's an opportunity to add more in the core values related to, I don't know whether it's collaboration or transparency. But it struck me as you were talking about community engagement, that maybe that relates, maybe even to more than one core value or,
I think it does relate to more than one core value. And maybe in the paragraph that says, these are the CPC's core values, the CPC also values the right, et cetera, I would say, I would just add a sentence like you just had, Mary, right there, that the CPC strives to be inclusionary, and I don't know exactly the
Yeah,
words you
yeah.
used, but,
I'm not a good writer, so I'm open to any suggestions.
right, but I think a sentence to that effect, right there, because it is part of being fair, transparent, effective, collaborative, responsive, it's part of all of those. It is the community engagement part. So I think adding your sentence or some effects,
Yeah.
something like that, as a sentence right there.
What are other people's thoughts as far as putting it under the core values or under the principles or the goals?
Well, it would
Or
be,
could you put it under the core values as a sentence and then
And
put
then-
it as a goal?
Write it as a
Yeah,
goal.
Yeah, write it as a
So I was
goal.
just gonna
but
say,
the goals are under each of the 4 categories.
Yeah, but we can change that.
True. Would we add a fifth
Yeah, yeah.
category?
Yeah, I would add a fifth because we're just talking about goals.
Right.
So that, from my perspective, that we don't have to only have 4 goals because we only have 4 categories.
Right, okay. I'm
That's
okay with
my,
that.
my thought.
Well, each category has multiple goals, right, that relate to the funding priorities for each category. And since this is kind of an overarching priority, it strikes me it's that it seems like either in the core value or guiding principles to me. And maybe we can put it in, I mean, we could put it in both places, right? We can elaborate a little bit in the
What do people-
value as it being a
Both
mechanism.
places.
And then add it as an additional guiding principle. Although I'm thinking of the guiding principles as a way of, that you're actually got like a way of a rubric almost for you to how you're evaluating one proposal over another. As opposed to the core value seems like how you're going about trying to make these decisions in a collaborative and transparent way.
Right. I think I think that's, you said, you clarified, Laura, why I felt the way I did. What you're describing is process. And the process that the burden is on the CPC committee to undertake that process. The principles are what we evaluate the proposed
Right,
projects
right.
on. So they're adjectives, if you, to say that sort of simply. So I think it belongs as part of the core values, not as the principles.
Right, so if we put something, a short sentence, adding a short sentence to under core values, and then adding a number 5 to the goals.
I would be fine
What are
with that.
people's thoughts
yeah,
on
I
that?
think
Yeah.
that's-
I can't see Dan, if Dan has a question, does he appear up there?
Yeah.
He would raise his hand and pop up.
Pop
That's
up,
what-
will he pop
Yeah,
up?
I'll raise my hand.
Oh, hi, Dan.
Hello.
That's what Joanna did.
Yeah, I think this is a goal, not a core value. That's my own personal opinion.
Yeah,
Well, I think the issue is that the goals are intended to guide potential applicants for CPA funding and using to direct funding recommendations. So, are they doing a new outdoor facility, or are they,
Right.
inventorying historic resources or something? So if you have a goal, the goal here you're talking about is really more for the community preservation committee's process. Yeah.
That's why I think it belongs under core values. Because it's the process by which we ensure that the core values happen.
but I would still like, me personally, I would still like to see it under goals.
It's still a goal to get everyone
To-
involved.
A goal, a
Always
goal.
will be, I think.
Yeah, a goal to get, that's my,
Yeah,
my,
no, I-
my feeling. I'm sorry?
Why don't we have Laura, why don't we have Jen's team work on it and come
Yeah,
back
yeah,
with
yeah,
something?
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Okay, so,
Okay.
so are we in agreement that we would like a sentence of some sort under the core value section, and a number 5 goal number 5 under the goal section?
And then we could always revise it still.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's 4 categories of goals, but are you proposing like to have 5 categories of goals? So
Yeah,
we have
yes.
multiple goals related to each core theme.
Right. Number 5 goal.
Yeah. Personally, I'd like to see it just under core values and not a separate goal. For the reason Laura said, that the goals are intended to direct the applicants to what the goals of the CPC are. What you're describing is work for the CPC to do, not for the applicants, and this, so I.
But what
I
she's
just-
describing is almost an administrative goal.
Right. could be an
I also
administrative.
think I also think there's an opportunity to add more, because I really appreciate this sentiment. And I think there's an opportunity to add more there's a section in the plan specifically on kind of application and funding processes, and there's a section on the planning process
Okay.
itself where we describe community engagement. I'm wondering if we add in even more there, to talk about that we know that the community engagement that was done was a snapshot in time, and that the conversation will continue, will happen continually, every year. You'll make an effort to kind of get the word out and all of that kind of stuff. Elaborate on that topic in kind of more the introduction chapter.
That's true, Laura, because we're not seeing the whole thing here.
Yeah, that's true. That's
So,
very true.
Why don't we leave it to Jen's team to
Yeah,
find the right place for it and to
Yeah.
work on some good language?
Do people still feel that there should be a small sentence under the core values and then have additional verbiage under the planning section? If we take it out of the goals?
That makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, Laura, did you,
You got
Yes,
that,
that sounds great. Mary, I'm happy if you want to email me your verbiage.
Sure.
I'm happy to incorporate that or elaborate on it, or,
I'll be happy
that
to,
is-
I'll be happy to email you. I just want you to know I'm not the best writer in the world. I'm okay with numbers, but writing is another matter.
Yeah, no worries. I can,
That's why
I
we have
can
Laura.
kind of wordsmith it or whatever. Appreciate it. Okay,
Okay.
that sounds great. So are we ready to move on to talking about these target allocations? All right. Does this all look correct based on your understanding of where we landed with things?
I have, yes, the percentages are exactly as we agreed at our last meeting. Are you going to be putting the picture part into the plan that's on the paperwork that we received, where you've got,
The icons?
whatever?
Icons.
Icons, well, recreation, historic, open space and housing, and undesignated, is that going to be in the actual plan itself?
Like this? So we originally,
Oh,
so
there
we
it is.
originally
Yeah,
put
yes,
this,
Yeah.
although we got an ask from the staff that maybe like this option looked a little
Well,
better.
that's exactly what I was going to recommend. The housing should be on the left.
You beat me to it.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah.
But the chart does not match the table. For example, open space, you took housing from 10% to 30%. And you did open space similarly, yet this open space says 10%.
Well, I think that we need when we get down to
It's
the
not
next,
matching the chart below.
No, it's the chart above.
Okay.
no, I
char-
think
the
the chart
chart-
below needs to be changed though, Dan, when we get to it.
The chart below is just there for reference because that was last
Okay.
It was last
So-
year's.
That was the
So-
last 5 years.
Right.
So for example, we changed the allocation for housing to 30%.
Correct.
We also changed an undesignated increase in open space, didn't we?
No,
No,
Or we left that alone?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's 30, 10, 10, 10, 5, and 35.
Okay, great. Thank you.
on the handout that Mary mailed out, the chart just above this diagram
Yeah.
is correct.
Yeah, Laura, can you,
chart below needs to be
Is the-
revised.
Yeah, that was the old one,
yeah,
right?
yeah, that was the old one.
That's the one I had a problem with.
Yeah.
Laura, can you show on the screen the chart where it shows the
There.
percentages?
This
No,
one?
There, that one, thank you. Well, that's a little, no, that's
the
not,
same
that's
one.
not the same one. The one that is in the paperwork is just
It was last 5-year plan target allocations.
Yeah, so here it's showing what the state requirement is, what was in the fiscal year 20 to 20, the last plan, and then what you're proposing for this next plan.
Oh, so you
Right.
changed so they've changed it on this
Right.
chart.
Oh,
It's
Are
not
you-
changed here, but
Oh,
it's changed on
yeah.
the chart.
Oh,
Are you planning to use that chart?
yeah. Are you, Carolyn's asking if that's the chart that's going to be in the plan.
Well, I wouldn't, this is just for your comparison. I
Okay,
think
good.
we would only, we wouldn't say like what you had in your last plan, for
No,
example.
no.
Necessarily. It would be more just like showing, you know, a chart, something like this, to show how things are planned to be,
Actually, we could
you know,
eliminate this.
divvied up, and we can just sort of state somewhere what the state requirement is and that you're opting
Because we have that.
to fund housing at a higher level than required.
Yeah.
I think if you eliminate the prior plans categories in that chart, it would be less confusing, right
Oh,
there.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
I
this
wouldn't
is
even
really
put
just
in-
for our discussion. Yeah.
Yeah, I would remove fiscal year 20 to 24 plan,
Mm-hmm.
Well-
Yeah.
Oh,
because
Dan,
it's too confusing.
Dan, I think Laura's intent is that that chart that you were looking at was only for our discussion. It's not going in the plan.
Perfect.
Right.
Yeah.
Janet has her hand raised.
Janet? Janet, are you, I didn't know.
Yes, I had a question. The other chart, I don't remember the title of it, said the state requirement for undesignated was 65%, and we have 35%. And I must have missed how we decided we could do something different from what the state requirement is.
It's actually, the 65%, you back into that from the state requirement because of the required 10, 10, 10, and 5. You can make it less as long as you keep the minimum of the 10, 10, 10, 10, 5.
I think it's, I think
All
it's
right.
confusing when it says state requirement 65%.
It's not a requirement,
It's not a
Janet.
requirement.
Right. Yeah, the state requirement is only the 10, 10, the 10%.
For us, the
and
10,
even
10, 10,
admin
10,
is
and
optional.
5.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it could be 10, 10, 10, and then 65.
right,
Um,
right.
No.
All right, I think it is
Because actually,
confusing,
yeah,
especially
the-
to someone who doesn't know what it means.
Yes.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, we'll make that clear in the actual plan. Yeah, for sure.
My only other comment, Laura, is in the chart with the icons.
Mm-hmm.
I would-
So,
This is
this
Carolyn.
one?
Yes, that one.
yeah.
That one, that's the good one.
Mm-hmm.
I would just make the icons a little bit smaller. I
Mm-hmm.
think it looks really busy and not enough white space for the visual eye to see, to interpret it.
Yeah. Maybe even make the icon smaller and the percentages bigger or something
Or
like that.
Make them a little bit more relative to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It just, visually, your eye, for the three in the middle particularly, your eye just doesn't read those very easily.
Yeah, it's a little crunched together. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just busy to see.
Mm-hmm.
We read better when there's white space.
Laura, would it be possible to make it a pie?
A pie
Sure can.
chart?
Yeah, I think it would be easier to understand as a pie chart than the way it's formatted.
Yeah, I could even have a pie
think
chart
that's a good idea.
comparison. You know, like state pie chart here, your pie chart here, something
Yeah.
like that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like Dan's idea of a pie chart.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, no problem.
Good.
All righty. Any other comments on the diagram or? So let's move into goals. Okay. So I believe there wasn't really much change. We've got active outdoor rec to best meet the needs of Easton population, rehabilitating the ones who have, especially for special needs, trying to create a community center with outdoor rec facilities.
I
Any
had a-
comments?
I had
Yeah.
two questions under that section. It talks about create new active outdoor recreation facilities
Where are you, Carolyn?
on the goals.
The goals?
for
Okay.
each section.
Okay, thank you.
Last page.
Yep.
And it says rehabilitate, the second goal says rehabilitate existing active rec to create safe and accessible recreation for people with special needs. But there isn't a goal that says to either rehabilitate or preserve existing outdoor recreation facilities, like we've been doing at Wiley Park, for example, with replacement of equipment. What we'll be doing at the Eastham Library with replacement of equipment. So it's rehabilitate but there's also a preserve or update. I don't know what the right technical term is.
I'm wondering if we can even do it in the same goal, just by emphasis. So you could say something like rehabilitate existing active recreation facilities,
And just change the,
comma, especially to, create more accessibility for people with special needs or something like that.
well, why don't you just
Sort of-
change, maybe change in that number 2 goal, change the to, T-O, to an and. Rehabilitate existing facilities and create safe and accessible recreation opportunities. That, I think
Yeah,
reads better.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
then, in terms of the community center, I love the goal, but I thought, Ed, I heard you or someone say that CPC money can't be used to build
Yeah,
a community center.
You know what, and when I first read this, before I read it, one of my questions would be, why would we put anything in the plan that can't be funded by the plan?
Right.
But I like the way they worded this.
Yeah, because we
Because it
can,
says, support the town's effort to
Okay.
create a community center. And then it says that includes
Includes,
outdoor recreation
which
facilities.
we can
fund.
fund, right?
Right.
So I thought that goal made a lot of sense.
So,
Just 'cause
so
we-
we're supporting the town's efforts on the community center,
Right.
And
Which
we-
we know we can't fund.
and we
but
also
we-
can fund
but we
outdoor
can assist
recreation
them with
facilities.
outdoor
Okay.
recreation
All
facilities.
right, that's
Maybe it
good.
needs to be by.
I'm
by-
sorry?
Maybe it needs to be like by.
By or through
Yeah.
Oh,
supporting those outdoor recreation facilities.
oh, you support the town's efforts by,
Yeah.
tell us how you would
By-
write.
Efforts to create community center
By
by
including,
including or I don't know. I think by.
I don't know, I
rather
think
than-
that's pretty good just the way it is. I
Let
mean,
Wayne is-
if it ever comes about,
right.
to like, keep doubting it more and give more and more doubts that we'll ever have one. But, when it does come about, I mean, they'll be, we're gonna need to put a playground in, we're gonna need to put some passive recreation stuff in.
Could be a pickleball court, could be a splash pond, could be a
It could be, yeah, I would love to see a splash pad.
pond, yeah.
But, again, those will come up if a community center is ever
Right.
built.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think we should be specific about what the outdoor recreation facilities are, just that they are.
Right.
Right.
So
So are
are
we
we,
leaving number 3 as it is?
that's what, that was
Yeah,
my,
that's
that
fine.
that was going to be my next question.
Yeah, I think so.
I have a question. Are we, don't we have something in front of the legislature allowing us to provide monies for housing up more than 100%? Do we have something,
Yes.
200%, so,
Yes. And
but it's
and
still with the legislature.
yes.
I'm on
it's-
number 2.
Right.
Yeah, you can go to number 2, Laura, if you want.
Oh, sure, yep. Meh,
There
sorry.
is, and so before this goes to final approval,
Yeah.
we need to check the status of that.
Yeah. Did you hear what we were saying, Laura?
I did. I was just had a question in my mind that maybe you can answer for me. does that mean that you would be able to use your CPA funds to fund up to 200%? Or does that, because it's kind of a separate
No,
law?
that is exactly what it means.
Okay, okay,
That there would be the ability to do that.
okay.
So I wouldn't change it now, but I would make a note that before.
Just be
it's
aware.
finalized. The other comment I would make is I would move community housing as the first goal that you talk about.
I have that, I agree with you.
Yay.
I have community housing goals as number 1, then historic preservation number 2, then open space number 3, and then number 4, active rec.
I think what we do is, do we go in alphabetical order?
We did,
yeah.
but I do think community housing should be first.
That's
Other than
fine.
that, I don't care.
Okay, can you repeat that for me one more time? So housing is first, and what's number 2?
Well, I was going based on the way we had the categories,
The target
the
allocation.
target allocations. So, under target allocations, we have housing number 1, historic preservation number 2, open space, passive number 3, and then active number 4.
Okay, yep, so it's all consistent, yep,
Yep.
all right. Just for my notes.
Yep, yep.
I don't see anything else in the goals that I would specifically change.
I have one thing, and it's under item historic preservation goals, which is on,
Okay.
and it's under item number 4 under that. And it's preserve privately owned historic houses. I don't think we can preserve privately owned historic houses.
I don't think we can either.
No, we can't.
I don't, that's got to.
You've got, on number 4, you've got preserve privately owned.
We could if we did a community housing and historic at the same time, a joint project, and the property ended up deed
Right, then you
restricted
could.
for housing.
But to put in preserve privately.
Yeah,
owned,
I don't like
People
that.
are going to read that wrong.
Yeah,
That's
because
right.
people with private houses are gonna.
So you
come
have,
from-
yeah, give me some money so I can improve my house. I would just say preserve historic houses.
I think they were trying to do was preserve the Route 6 corridor.
Right, right.
Right.
You know, so I don't know how
Right.
you write that, but that's what the goal was, not to necessarily fund preserving private houses.
Well, why don't we?
How about if we
just-
change it to preserve historic structures?
Particularly along the routes, along Route 6. Just
Right,
take out
particularly
the-
along Route 6.
Take out the
Route 6
privately,
Take out the words privately owned.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
just say structures.
Preserve historic houses, particularly those, well, all the rest
Well,
of
it's
the
historic
sentence.
structures, though.
historic structures.
Because there might
Historic-
not be a
Ho-
house.
House, right.
Right.
Preserve historic structures.
Particularly those along Route 6.
Yep, thanks, Dan.
Okay.
But some structures may not be occupied by lower and moderate income houses. But we
Right.
could kind of wordsmith that a little to say, so you're preserving historic structures along Route 6, but you're also looking for opportunities for these sort of shared, multi-purpose, it's ticking two boxes, right?
Yep,
might be able
preserving
to-
that, preserving the structure and providing housing.
Okay, any other comments on historic preservation goals?
I think we're all set there.
Okay, so then the last goal section is open space.
I didn't have any comments on that. Anybody else?
Okay.
Well,
So
my
then,
own- Wait a minute, Laura, back
go
up.
ahead, sorry, too fast.
Yeah, my only question is, are 2 and 3 the same thing?
Well, one's
I don't
water-
think so. I think-
Drinking water, and one is ponds and wetlands.
One's surface water and one is drinking water.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
All right.
And, yeah, can you hear me?
Joanna?
Drink, yeah, the well field districts, so that land, protecting those lands that might not be around freshwater ponds, but it's around our wellhead. So they are two separate,
Okay, thank you.
yeah, thanks.
Okay. So then next steps with you all are to start, putting all the goal, writing that introductory type section, adding in all the process things that we did around community engagement and that you'd like to continue to do around community engagement, adding in all the profiles, we use some of that material in the community forum, but we'll add the goals to that. So we'll put it all together into one updated draft. We're also going to get started on updating your application process guidelines and scoring. So I think that's kind of mainly where I wanted to touch base tonight. Because I think we can have maybe a little bit more materials that will be helpful to you when you go to evaluate applications. So you'll have the plan, and then there's the actual application documents themselves. But we could also put together, based on your guiding principles and the goals, essentially a sort of a scoring rubric for you that would be, presented to the public as like, hey, just so you know, these are the factors that they're going to be using to help evaluate the projects. But it's also going to be helpful to you when you kind of try to do one against the other. And I'm also wondering about the application process. You have, Stacy, but I only saw one application, and a pre-application for eligibility is optional, right? But I imagine her role might be able to help you too in like reviewing just eligibility with people when the initial applications come through, just to let them know like how this could be a stronger application, or whether it's eligible or not eligible. So she can do some of that for you before you have to sit down and really kind of compare one against the other. Do you feel like that's
Well, I think
what's
that's,
happening now?
I actually like that from the standpoint of trying to steer an applicant to think about multiple categories and perhaps including affordable housing as well as what they thought they originally wanted to pursue.
and-
So I'm wondering if we could have a pre-application or an early application, pre-application that is a step sooner, might have a earlier deadline, but it's still optional. People can skip it and just go to the full application. But if they did that pre-application, they could have benefit, I think, from just talking through staff review with them and eligibility and how to make it a stronger application before they put in the full, the full application.
And we have, Laura, we have frequently not only done the staff review, we do that. People come and they talk to Paul, and they will be talking to Stacy before they submit the application. But when they submit the application, we allow them to, by the deadline, but to submit what we would call an incomplete application.
Or there's another term that we've used.
Draft.
No, there's
No,
another.
that's not it. Placeholder.
Placeholder.
Placeholder application.
Placeholder. Thanks,
And
Laura.
then they can come and, in September or October, meet with the committee, and we can give them feedback and suggestions, as well as ask up front questions that we'll want them to address, not in their application. So there is that preliminary review process with the committee itself. And we allow people to do that. And I think that needs to be made clear, because sometimes people assume by the application date, which is pretty early, that they have to have a full-on budget, they have to have 3, you know, what am I thinking of?
Three quotes.
Three quotes for things that are expensive. And in fact, we routinely allow them to not have to do that until a later date. And
Do you have an idea what that later date is? Is there kind of a do or die date?
I think.
That's related probably to the town meeting warrant and other things, like when you actually
I
have to
think-
make some
Yeah, it's
decisions?
usually December.
It's usually
Around
December,
December, I mean, we're pretty flexible with,
but it's usually by the December meeting, because December and January are the meetings where we have the applicants
Come in,
come in and present their
their,
application.
yeah, their
Okay.
projects.
Yeah, I think we can do two things. One is to have, eligibility flow charts as a reference for applicants, and we'll, update the forms for them too, just with the new kind of look and feel of the new plan. We can put together a scoring rubric for you, but then we can also put together update the process diagram so that it just kind of like a timeline, so they kind of know what to expect in any given month, and just making it clear that, no particular, maybe just the month, not necessarily a particular date, so you can use it from year to year.
Yeah.
But here's when we really want to have your preliminary, ideas in and vetted by staff, and you can come to vet them through meetings with the Community Preservation Act Committee, and, here's where we really want to see your full application, and here's where we need to have complete applications. So it's, every community is a little bit different. Some really want, the complete application, ready to go by a certain date, which you do too, but it can happen later in the process for you. So that's good to know. Okay. So yeah, so that's what we're going to start working on a draft of for the next time we meet. So I think, yeah, we'll start really putting it together, and then we'll review that at the next meeting, and then we'll have a chance, another round of revisions based on your comments with that first draft to get it all in a place that you're really happy with.
Can you go back to that screen, Laura, please? You had something on, no, not that one,
the
Oh.
last one.
the last one.
This one?
Under dot point number 3, you have "and rubric," and parentheses, "new." What, could you explain to us what that is?
Yeah, so that's kind of what I was alluding to, where it's more of an internal document, although you would describe these qualities, you could mention them both in the application itself or instructions page to the application. But saying, these are the factors that will make your application more competitive, right? So, and then for you, it gives you a way to, it's still a little, it's a little somewhat subjective, but pretty much like, is it complete? Does it touch on more than one category? Are they leveraging other funds? Yes, no. It's just a way for you to compare one against the other so that you're able to say, make some hard, because you'll have, there's going to be a lot of good projects, and you may have to make some tough decisions, and it just gives you something to lean on when you have to make those tough decisions and say, this is a great and worthy project. However, this other project is ticking, more of the guiding principles, or, multiple goals or what have you, and be able to walk the applicant through that.
I think we do something somewhat similar to that with our application checklist, but having you take a look at that and put that into a more useful form would be fine. I think it sounds helpful.
Yeah, so it's just a little bit of an internal spin-off of the application checklist.
So you're going to be sending us, before our next meeting, the documents that you're discussing here for our review before our meeting in May?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yep. I think that's everything I have for tonight. I wrote up my notes and I'll be making those changes and then we'll, yeah, put it all together. It'll be really nice to see it all in one document.
Before you go, Laura, I know Janet and Dan and Joanna is on the screen there. I just want to make sure that they don't have any questions, because I couldn't see them before, so just give them a
No,
chance.
I'm all set, thank you.
Okay, Janet, are you all set? I think you're mute.
She shaking
Thank
her
you.
yes.
Oh, and Joanna?
I'm okay.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
good.
thank you. I just wanted to check with them, Laura, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
I think that's it. So
Okay.
we'll look forward to what you are going to be putting together for us to review
Yes.
before our meeting coming up, and that is in, let me see, May 1st.
All right, sounds great. All right, have a good April.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Stay warm.
Thanks.
Okay. Back to our agenda. Let me see, we have the meeting minutes from our last meeting, March 6th, and I'm just looking to see. Absent, you were absent, Mark. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of March 6th?
I'll move to approve the minutes of March 6th
That's
as
Carolyn.
distributed.
I will second. Any discussion on the minutes of March 6th? Everybody was here except, let's see, except you.
Right.
I left early, but
Were you, let me see, did you leave, oh, you left at 5:30 or so.
Yeah.
So,
But everybody can still vote.
Because we've seen him, right? That's what I
Right.
was wondering, okay.
yeah, did you watch the video?
No, I had to miss that one, but I
He's read the
read
minutes.
the minutes.
He's allowed to vote. He is,
If he just reads the minutes?
even if he wasn't here, he can vote.
yes.
As long as I read
I
the
never
minutes.
knew that.
Robert's rules.
Okay, so do I have a motion to approve the minutes of March 6th?
I move the
Yeah,
approval.
yeah.
And use,
And all in favor?
aye.
Carolyn,
Aye.
Ed, 1, 2, Janet, 3, Paul, not Paul, that's the Finance Committee, Dan, 5, Mark, 6, me, 7, that's 7, right?
Yep.
Let me see, we're missing
Missing Dave.
missing
and-
2, we're missing 2, so that's 7-0. Thank you, everybody. Okay, now we're down to, do you want to talk about the Windmill Weekend, Stacy?
Yeah, I talked with Paul about it, and he thought it was a good idea, and then I mentioned it to Mary, moving the public hearing meeting till after the Windmill Weekend, if we have a table out there like we did last year, and we have the picture boards, and maybe hand out some flyers, and maybe able to get a little more community engagement.
And the Windmill Weekend is September 6th through the 8th, that's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday?
Yeah,
And I think the time that we would have the table would be on, at least last year, unless something changes, it was just on Saturday.
Saturday, yeah.
Which would be the 7th. What are people's thoughts on, let me see, when would we have normally had it? under-
First Wednesday, which is
Of-
the,
of
of September,
September, which is the Wednesday before the 6th, which is the 4th.
Yeah.
I think that's an excellent
I
idea.
think that makes sense.
Yes, yeah.
And
yeah.
then move our meeting to the 11th.
Yeah, okay, so what we're talking about doing is changing our September public hearing meeting date to September 4th, right?
No,
No,
11th.
The 11th.
11.
I'm sorry. You know what I'm thinking? I'm just thinking, the hearing itself will be September 11th.
And so
Our
would our meeting.
our normal meeting would have been September 4th.
so move that to the 11th.
So we're going to move the September 4th meeting to September 11 in order to have it after the Windmill Weekend of September 6th, 7th, and 8th. So do I have a motion to approve changing the September public hearing meeting from September 4th to September 11th, 2024.
Move to approve.
Okay. Yep. So I
Second.
have- So I have Mark and I have Joanna. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
1, 2, 3,
Aye.
4,
Aye.
5, 6, 7, 7, 0. So our public hearing will be September 11th instead of September 4th. And I don't know if we need to, do we need to have a vote to have a table at
No,
Windmill
I just put
Weekend?
it on there in
Oh,
case you wanted to vote. It's better to have
Yeah.
have it on there than not.
I don't think necessarily,
We just have to make sure Paul gets just the table.
yeah, the table, and not just the table, it's the chairs.
Yeah, we'll be better prepared this year. Last year, it was just done within a day or two
That's
before the
right, that's
Windmill
right,
Weekend,
that's
yeah.
right,
Yeah.
yeah. So we had, the town hall brought the table and the 2 chairs for me, and you did the posters, which were fantastic.
Yeah, we'll still use those.
And we can use them again.
Yeah.
And I can screw up with the
No.
easels.
And I'll see if I can get a tent this year.
I don't mind sitting
It was
out.
hot.
No, if it's hot,
It
it's
was
brutal.
very
Yeah,
hot.
well, you gave me a hat, so I was okay.
It helped.
Okay, so we are going to proceed with the table at Windmill Weekend, which would be September 7th. Okay, that's a Saturday. Okay, I'm on to the agenda. Review most recent financial reports. Oh, you know what I forgot? I just want to thank you, Stacy, for putting together the conditions. And before I go to the financial numbers, does anybody have any questions? I did go through it all, and everything agrees with the information that I had from our last meeting. And thank you also, Stacy, for putting together the time limit on the side. And, the other thing I did for myself, and I don't know if it would be helpful for others, but I put under, over the word conditions, the amount of the grant.
Oh, okay, I can add that.
So, so everybody can see exactly what the amount was that we were dealing with here. But thank you for putting this together.
It's so helpful.
Yeah, very good, very good. Okay, so now we're down to numbers. And did everybody get, Tina sent out the most recent cash balance stuff. I looked it over, and I do see that we've taken in a little bit more money under the tax collections. Obviously, some people haven't paid. It was just about $3,000, but the next tax bills, you've probably already received them, I have, are due May 1st. So the 3% surcharge will be added to the number on here for the tax collections for the second half of the tax receipts. And the investment income, of course, I think we're getting around 5% or so at Cape Cod 5. So that's increased since last month about 11,000. So we are, as you can see, we're up to almost 86,000 in investment income. And let me see, we've paid out all of the monies from the original amount for the town hall, which was the 300. That's been completely used up now, so now we're going on to the second amount of the 680. I did speak with Tina today, and she said that you had spoken to her about the Wiley Park, a couple of the Wiley Park projects. Are they,
I actually gave a report to Stacy in closing out one of the Wiley
oh,
Park
okay,
projects.
that's one of my
Recreation,
questions.
the playground one. I still want to keep the shade shelter one open, just so we get into spring and summer, if we decide we want to do some plantings, and it's kind of, we still have the money there. So I don't want to close that out.
Yeah, that only has about 2004 left in it.
And we're, no, that one's got a lot of it.
No,
It was the $55,000 one.
Yeah, according to this, the balance remaining is 2,358.
That's what it says on Tina's sheet.
Yeah.
I didn't
You know what, I didn't print Tina's sheet up.
There you go, towards the bottom.
It's the second from the bottom.
No kidding. It cost us $52,000 for that shade shelter?
That's what Tina
That's
has.
Paul's project, by the way. Paul picked out. So don't blame that on me. Well, there'll still be
Are
plenty
you
of
saying,
money.
are you saying that because he's not here, or?
No, he didn't admit it. But there's still plenty of money if we want to do a little planting or something.
yeah,
So-
yeah, no,
So
no.
let's just leave it untouched for right now.
Okay.
And,
But the other one is closed out.
no, there's the
it-
Wiley,
it-
there's
one,
there's the
two,
Wiley
three, four,
Park
five.
Recreation Area
Yeah.
that was 375.
No, I'm looking at, let me see, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the sixth one down for 22,000.
Yeah, that's closed.
Yeah, just, but
Yeah.
did you send in a
Yeah,
report?
yeah,
Okay, okay. So you sent the final report in?
right, so I.
Okay,
and-
so then the
and-
next
and
one is-
I gave a report to Stacy to close the next one, the 375.
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
okay, that one, I see that.
Okay. So the only thing I actually have open is the Field of Dreams, which we're just waiting on one more thing that we're trying to purchase. And we'll close that out, and then we
And
can,
the shade
shade
shelter.
shelter, we
Yeah.
just keep open maybe to the fall.
Yeah.
See what happens.
So just so I understand, so the Wiley Park Recreation Area, the 375, which shows on here about 20,000 left.
Yeah.
Is that being returned?
Yeah, it's being returned.
Oh.
I'll have, I meant to put it on, it came in after.
No,
I know, I just gave it to
yeah,
you like
yeah,
that.
that's no
last-
So
problem.
we can do that at our next meeting.
Yeah, there's no
yeah.
problem. So we should be seeing a final report on that and for next month.
Yep,
Yeah, okay. And as I noticed, we've spent all of the original 300,000 for the town hall preservation. So we're now down, not down to, but we'll be starting to use the 680, the second amount, yeah. Does anybody have anything they want to ask about or comment about on the cash balance?
No.
Okay. I think that might be it. Let me see. Is there anything else that anybody wants to bring up that we haven't discussed today?
I would like to throw out an idea. Since our September meeting is going a little later than it traditionally does, we want to do our kickoff for new applications in August.
Your kickoff, I'm not sure what your kickoff?
Well, we usually do a public notice every year
Yeah.
about CPC and receiving applications. Given the fact that we're now going to be almost into mid-September, and our goal is to have all final applications by December, should we move the kickoff to public notice and splash of news media to August?
you know,
Because
Dan,
we're-
that might be a good idea, because there's still be non-resident taxpayers around who probably aren't well informed about the CPC. So maybe it is a good idea to do it in August.
I think it gives us more time, and it allows us to, we're going to lose a week anyways because of what we're doing, and we're tight. It's just an idea. I don't know what everybody thinks.
Well, by kickoff, you mean doing the public announcements and, no, not the public
Yes.
hearing. Do you mean the public hearing?
Well, we just determined that the public hearing was going to be in September.
Right.
We have a public hearing in September. We also have we could have a public hearing and kickoff in August. If everybody thinks it would be valuable to have more time. That's all.
I think in August is when we start the public outreach. Not necessarily the public hearing, but the notice in the paper and the letters to the editor, and start posting on Facebook and TikTok and all the other places where we can do social media. Each of,
China's gonna find out about this?
whatever our social media is, and each of our respective constituencies, emails out to people saying, hey, if you have ideas.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think it requires 2 public hearings or even 2 public meetings. I think that's administrative work that we need to do with Stacy's help to make all those things in action. But I don't know that we need a public hearing to do that. The public hearing is just so people can come and ask questions and comment. We only need to do that once.
I agree, it's only once. My only question is, when would be the appropriate time for that one action? That's all.
And that's what
Maybe
I
I'm not-
thought, I thought we decided that we were doing that on September 11th.
Yeah.
That is,
Windmill weekend.
that is when we would normally do it. That's correct. My only point is, are we happy enough with September 11th for everybody to get their applications in and everything in final form by December? Or would the public be better served if we did it in August? That's one question. Dead silence.
I think, Dan, I hear what you're saying about the part-time residents, but I just think the public hearing in September, we may be likely to get more engagement, because in the summer, in August, people are not paying
Traveling.
attention to stuff. They're off swimming and boating and hiking and
It's the end of summer.
looking for oysters and mussels. Or they've got company from out of town and yada, yada, yada. So I think the public hearing should stay in September.
I'm okay with September.
Joanna has.
Joanna?
Yeah, I agree with Carolyn that big outreach push in August should start in August and leading up to the public hearing on September 11th. So I agree with that.
Yeah, if we will have a meeting, we normally have a meeting, we can have a meeting in August, and if we put out information, and people can always come and ask us questions at the August meeting. It's not like we
An idea.
don't.
could. Although it's like Laura said, now that we have Stacy, we would want people to come and ask Stacy questions. How do I get an application? What am I eligible, she will be the point person for people to contact, as opposed to having to come before the committee to ask those questions. Now we have a
But
staff
people
person.
are always welcome.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I'm happy to have Carolyn here today. I think that you, Carolyn, and you, Carolyn. No, I think that,
Right.
that I would like to see more people here. I mean,
Right.
very seldom do we have anybody here that's not just here to hear what we're doing, rather than here for a request.
Well, we also don't know how many people look at the videos.
Yeah. No, I
Online.
have no idea either, yeah. Okay, so is everybody in agreement? We're going to stick with September 11th for the discussion, open the what's the word I want?
Public hearing.
The public hearing, thank you. And we will be having a meeting in August, as we would normally have, and we will be asking anybody to come at that time that has questions. Okay, and so I just want to say, make sure everybody's aware, we have on our agenda that our next meeting is May 1st. It's the Wednesday, 2024 at 5. And please mark your calendars for the final meeting that we have so far is June 5th. That's another Wednesday at 5. Anything else that anybody would like to bring up? Do I have a motion to adjourn? Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, sure, come on up.
May I say something?
Sure, come on up.
Because I didn't
Yeah, we're
have
going to ask you to sit and use the mic.
the microphone. Okay.
Yeah, not just so that we can hear you, but the Zoomers.
I just.
If you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, that's what I thought, what I'd like to do. I'm Carolyn Gorska-Thurleman, and I'm on the board of EPERDA, the Eastham Part-Time Resident Taxpayer Association. So we're in the process of revamping our organization, which is going to entail better community outreach and engagement. So one of my tasks is in the Community Outreach Committee is to report to the membership about the projects that are being approved for CPA funding, which we all pay taxes on. And so that's what is voted on in May. So what is that? In all of that information you put on the website, but I just have to make it easier for our membership to have access to this information and to understand everything. So for me to better understand the whole program and how CPA works in Eastham, I'll be attending the meetings or watching the recordings. So that's, so I'm going to be here as a representative of the Eastham Part-Time Residents Taxpayer Association. So I just wanted to say that I've been attending or watching your meetings since December, and I think you're all doing a really terrific job. And thank you so much for your service for the town of Eastham.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's been watching from Switzerland, so it's been
That's
it's
right.
been late at night for her to watch.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Do you have a list of the projects that will be being recommended in May? It'll be in the town warrant.
Yep.
But if you want a preview list, Stacy
can
could
send
make a list for you.
Well, I think I get, another person on the committee is Tom,
Tom no, he's not on this committee.
No.
He's on the finance committee with me.
okay, so he wouldn't have the
No,
warrant.
no.
Okay, yes, it would be interesting. I've been keeping a list from December of the people that have come forward asking for money.
But Stacy could give you a written list of.
That
with-
would be wonderful.
It's really just, we already know the warrant language.
Yep.
And in it is a nice description of what each project is.
Okay.
And so if you use that and put that in your newsletter or on your website or however you do it,
Yep.
that would be a very helpful description for everybody.
Yeah,
As
okay.
opposed to just the name of the project, because
Right.
the names aren't descriptive enough.
Yep, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, great.
The warrant is being printed on Friday of this week,
Oh.
and so.
Oh, yeah, we're in April.
Yeah, this Friday is being printed. So it'll be coming out shortly.
Hallelujah.
So all of the articles for the CPA committee will be obviously listed there, 8A through I. Did you have any other comments
No,
that you'd
that's
like to
it.
make?
Thank
Yeah,
you very
yeah,
much.
yeah. We should introduce ourselves, just introduce ourselves.
Carolyn McPherson, I'm on the Affordable Housing Trust.
Yes,
You know,
Ed
Ed?
Casserole, I think we've talked.
Yeah.
Mark Herman?
yes, I've seen you at our meetings.
Historic,
for that.
yeah. Dan, you want to introduce yourself to Carolyn?
Yeah, I'm Dan Koppelman. I am member at large.
Janet?
Janet Benjamins, and I'm the representative from the Conservation Commission.
And Joanna?
Yeah, I'm Joanna Buffington, the representative from the Open Space Committee.
And we've met, I'm Mary Shaw, and I'm also a member at large. And Stacy is our assistant, Stacy Weedy. Okay, so we have a motion to, I'm asking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
That's
Second.
Carolyn and Ed. All in favor?
Aye.
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 1270, and it is 6:16 or something like that.